With the advent of e-signatures and other digital documentation, it's clear that the future is moving towards automated document workflows as the new normal. We spoke to DocuSign's Gerrit van der Walt to get his ideas on what the ideal document workflow looks like and how businesses might move towards it.
Well, I think we all understand the power of doing business faster, better, more effectively. DocuSign continues to innovate and lead in this space, removing the manual steps of emailing, printing, manual wet signing, and then scanning those documents. However, I think there are opportunities for organizations to modernize their agreements beyond just the signing process. And let's just consider what a typical agreement process looks like. Well, firstly, an agreement needs to be prepared. That means we need to generate the agreement. That agreement needs to be redlined and reviewed. We might need to set up some approval steps and workflows. Next is then when we go to the act of signing. And we've already said, the power behind electronic signature and how we can really do business a lot faster and more effectively when applying the electronic signatures. But it doesn't stop there. From there, an agreement needs to be acted on, meaning we need to potentially trigger an external workflow, collect a payment, etc. And finally, those agreements need to be managed, securely stored, reviewed, being able to search and administer those agreements, I think is also really important. And then when we then consider, back to your question, what is a modern agreement process? It is beyond just the power of electronic signing, being able to remove all of the manual processes throughout the entire life cycle of an agreement. Well, I think the first thing for organizations to consider is where to start. Generally, we see this by going and modernizing your most manual processes, that being electronic signature. It's a very easy exercise for you to do, to look at which departments, which functions, which lines of businesses you might drive the highest effective efficiencies using electronic signature. We see organizations speed up their contract signing from potentially 7 days down to 1 day, potentially within a few hours. So it really just is getting into the electronic signature space and starting by modernizing that particular workflow. Next, you can look at what applications you have in your organizations. Users tend to want to operate from within those applications, and making it easy for your users to stay within those applications by integrating your electronic signing processes into platforms such as Microsoft, Salesforce, Google, Workday, etc., helps very quick adoption by your users into the electronic signature space. I think the third thing then is building trust. Do your organization trust that their agreements will be safe and secure? And DocuSign has implemented the highest and most rigorous policies and procedures to meet the strictest privacy and compliance regulations across EMEA, ensuring there is trust and your users know that all their agreements will be treated very, very, very securely. So we've just talked a little bit about, modernizing the entire agreement process and removing all of those manual tasks from that agreement. And I think, through modernizing these agreements, we've now operationally given you the ability to run a much more effective business. But I think there's beyond just the operational bit and efficiencies that you can achieve. I think there are two strategic elements that you need to consider when you modernize your agreement workflow. First of all, think of the ability to attain revenue a lot faster, and what that could do and impact that have for your organization. Instead of waiting 7 days for agreements to be fulfilled, you can now account for revenue 7 days or a lot faster. That also gives your customers an exceptional experience and gives you the ability to really stand out within your marketplace. I think the next thing to consider is the impact this has on your workforce. What we want our workforce to do is spend time on activities that is strategic and impacts the business instead of the manual. Therefore, we increase user productivity and in addition, our workforce experience for our employees.